Okay, our next form of the 5 forms is the cylinder. And I want to remind you, a cylinder is basically a rectangle, but it's got curved sides to it, not flat edges. And that's because it's built around a circle at either end. So we're going to draw a rectangle first, and then we're going to use this technique we did for ellipses to create an ellipse at the top and an ellipse at the bottom to make it look like this cylinder. So I've already done a couple of the steps. We're going to make it as big as we can in this, so I've measured from the top at the fold 1/2 inch down and 1/2 inch down, made the marks, and then I put my ruler this way, lining them up, and with 0 at the fold or at 6 at the outer edge, your choice, and I made a mark at 3 inches, and then we're going to make it 2 inches wide. So this is the middle, our central axis, so a mark at the left at 1 inch and a mark at the right at 1 inch from that center line, for a total of 2 inches. Now that I've done that, I'm going to line these marks that I measured from the fold, and I'm going to, from the 1 inch mark to through the middle, and then to the other 1 inch mark, draw the top of the rectangle. And then I'll do the same thing at the bottom, but I need to measure down because it's 4 inches tall. So going from that top mark, I'm going to go down 4 inches and make a mark here. And I'm going to go down 4 inches and make a mark here. So it's 4 inches from the line that was from the fold. So it's actually 4.5 inches from the fold for that, if you wanted to make the marks at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and draw in that central axis too. I already made my measurements, and I'm going to go a little outside of that edge and a little outside of this edge, and that'll give us the tick marks for our ellipse. Now that I've got my measurements down, I'm going to draw in the bottom edge. I'm putting my ruler once again on any inch mark and lining up those two marks that were 4 inches from the top. And I'm going to go over 1 inch and start my line and over to the right 1 inch. So here's my ellipse's bottom again, right? Or the rectangle's bottom. And then I'm going to draw in the side edges of the rectangle at the left and at the right. And then I can draw in my ellipses. So they are 1/2 inch tall on the top one and 1 inch tall on the bottom one. I'm going to measure them both at the same time. So for the 1/2 inch one, I'm putting my 0 at the top of the rectangle. Here's my 1/2 inch measurement. Now remember, we need a tick mark that divides it in half between here and here, so we're going to do that at the same time. There's my 1/4 of an inch. That's half of the distance from 0 to 1/2 inch. I do that at the right-hand side too. Put my ruler at the top of the rectangle, put a mark at 1/2 inch, and then go back and put it at the 1/4 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and line those two up and draw my line in. Now I want to make sure that everything still stays in measurement, that nothing got crooked. All of those things are really key. At the bottom, I'm just going to use any inch, like I'm putting it at 8 inches, but it could have been 1 inch or 0 inches, but I need to measure up from the bottom, and that's 1 inch. If you remember what I said, it's going to be a 1 inch rectangle at the bottom, and I think I explained this in class Y. When your ellipse is below your eye level, it's bigger or appears deeper from front to back than when it's closer to your eye level. This one's closer to eye level than that one, so it's a bigger ellipse. We're going to put the back edge of the ellipse, the rectangle for the ellipse in, and then the process is pretty straightforward. What we did for this ellipse, we're going to go from the outer edge to that point, and remember to turn your paper so you can easily create that muscle memory. One of the things that most of my students do is they make these look like footballs, or they're just squeezed together too much right at the end, and I almost did that too. So I want to make sure that this is a curved line that just barely meets that edge, and I turn my paper again so that I can see what I'm doing, and so I have control, that muscle memory. Go right to the outer edge, and I go up to the upper edge with my marks, and I curve it around, and I do the same thing for the other final edge. And then if I turn it this way, I can see Yeah, that looks pretty good, but it needs a little bit of cleanup. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah. And then I do the same thing at the bottom. Yes, I know you can't see through the cylinder, so this back edge isn't really going to show up. But remember, if we draw through the form, we can better see accuracy, if we're correct or not on the front edge. Remember, don't let it get pinched or come outside of those edges too soon. And it shouldn't, I've got an issue with it already that I'm going to show you how to fix, because you probably will have something like that happen to you too. So see how it's kind of pointy right there? We don't want that to happen, even if it's not an edge that we're able to see. So you want to curve it a little bit more, and because it was curved on that side, it was a little, I'm sorry, pinched on that side, it was a little pinched on this side too. And that's more believable. Still needs a little bit of refining on both of them. Our next step is take the eraser, get rid of the central axis, get rid of the rectangles at the box at the bottom, get rid of your guidelines, get rid of the unused parts at the top, so that all you have left is the side edges of the cylinder, the top face, and the front face of the ellipse at the bottom.